Hello, everyone. Welcome to the book club screen. Oops. Book, book club screen. Sorry, I got distracted by the sound of the recording coming through. So, welcome everyone to the book club stream for Greek religion by Walter Burkert. We are going to be talking this week about chapter 3, the gods, but just sections now this time 2, focusing on the individual gods, sections 2.1 through 2.3. Specifically on Zeus, Hera, and Poseidon, and then we'll start going through all the gods in the next upcoming sections. Even though it's only talking about 3 of the 12, 13, whatever. Anyway, it's still quite a bit to go through, so I'm actually going to end up putting on a timer. So make sure that we can get through all of it. And we will have breaks. However, if you would like to grab a cup of tea, coffee, whatever, and get ready to go through it with us, this would be the time. We are going to break in between each of the sections just for like a minute, just in case anyone wants to grab a quick refill. And yeah, then we'll continue on. So welcome to the stream. Okay, so it looks like it is going to be Greek Mike and myself. Can you just say hi so I make sure it shows
Hello.
up? Oh, what?
Hello.
Oh, I think I heard myself say hello and I confused myself. All right, I think, but you did show up on the audio, so I think everything's good. So yeah, and I have a timer, so we're gonna start talking about. And oh, do you have the book and the notes up?
Yep,
Okay.
I have both up.
Okay. Good. I put in my notes earlier, and basically also one of the things that I kind of sorry, scrolling the notes. One of the things that I kind of did is I skipped notes for like the myths because so the myths are talked about so much. Sorry.
Right.
So just letting you know because there's a lot of the myths or recaps of the myths in the sections. Where are my notes? So okay, there you go. You can hear the timer. um, so I wanted to first note the thing they mentioned in the beginning, which was that Hestia and Dionysus are often inter what do you call it? Interchanged as part of the pantheon,
Yeah.
which is interesting because every time I do my altar, I'm like, or like clean it and stuff, I'm always like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, well, how did I get this wrong? And I have to remember that.
Hmm.
um, okay, so I have for 2.1, I kind of like that they started with the noting how many other, um, I don't want to say religions because not I don't know if all of them have religions, but different areas of the world call Zeus by different names or a different personification of Zeus. And then I wrote all those
Yeah,
down.
yeah, and they're all like, especially all the Indo-European ones are all they all have very similar etymology.
Mm-hmm.
Etymology.
Yeah.
Um Dies Peter, Dios Pitar. I don't even know how to say that in this guy. I mean,
Yeah.
but like the Roman one, obviously Jupiter, you could think of as like splitting up. It's like Jupiter.
Yeah, I
Like,
actually
well,
didn't know the other one though. The I guess you would probably say both of them. The Indic one, Dias Pitar, and Dice Peter, like probably the same with the Roman one, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Which I also think is really interesting how it's the same name but just spelled differently. Does that make sense? Between
yeah,
the Indic
exactly.
and the Roman, I thought it was really interesting.
And in Greek, it's just like the. You'll
Mhm.
hear Zeus, and sometimes, a lot of times in Greek, you'll hear Zeus said as the instead of Zeus.
You know, I'm gonna admit that makes so much sense now because there's a lot of times where I get confused when people have done like like prayers and stuff, and I've heard it, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's a lot of times the and like even my little statue from Greece that has Zeus on it, it says the on it instead of Zeus.
Aw, that's awesome. Um, yeah. So and there's a lot, and of course the Latin Deus and the or sorry, whatever the word for God and day, and I thought that was really cool. So every day is for the gods. I noted that Zeus is what we often think of the sky and storm, but also rain as well. I just put that in there so because it's his domains. Um, oh, there's the passage right here on the bottom of the first like area for Zeus, saying Zeus according like to his Homeric epithets. I just thought that this was really cool, and I thought the idea of like the kids singing, like this little chant thing for or like this little
Oh
poem
yeah,
for Zeus. I thought it was like super cute.
yeah.
Um, and I like that. I think I'm gonna start saying Zeus is raining instead of instead of it is raining, because I don't know. I just I thought that was really entertaining. Um, uh, there's I whenever I think where Zeus lives, I was always thinking like Olympus. So it was very interesting, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this was from someplace. The listing of all the different mountains that
Yeah.
fall under where he like dwells.
Yeah, so like basically any high peak is considered sacred to Zeus, essentially.
Oh, so
And if you
any
think
high,
about it, yeah, and if you think about it, like with Mount Olympus, like where it is in Greece, it's like in the
yeah,
northern, they mention it here, it's like in the northern
yeah,
part of the country. And like you could think about like people would never really travel far outside of little region. So,
mm-hmm.
um, and there's actually several Mount Olympuses throughout the Mediterranean that they like basically the tallest mountain that they just called Mount Olympus. With the idea that it's
Yeah.
symbolic more so than because like the tallest mountain in both Greece and Cyprus is called Mount Olympus.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Interestingly enough, yeah.
So that makes so. I mean, ugh, my brain. So one of the things then that anyone could do for worshiping could be just going to like a local like hill or hiking spot. Then.
Exactly. That would be one. At least like I think about this a lot because I'm into, and I haven't done too many of them, but I'm into high pointing, where it's
Oh.
like you go to the highest point in the state, or I've done counties. So I did the Brooklyn High Point, which is like a little hill, which is fun, in the Westchester County, which is where I grew up, like outside of New York City,
Oh
to dox
wow.
myself to people on the stream.
Now
uh,
you know
the
where to
high
find
point
him.
there.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. But I've done and I've done like states. I've done Massachusetts and what you call it, drove to the top of New Hampshire,
Oh, Vermont.
near New Hampshire, the Mount Washington. But anyway, sorry, that's a little tangent there about high pointing. But yeah, I
Wait, you
always
don't mean the
consider that
state?
because I meant the state New Hampshire.
Oh, okay. You meant okay. My bad. Um, that's really cool. That's a really cool way to worship Zeus. That's really. I guess I now have a reason to go hiking. Yay. Um, that was the main things that I put in. I just copied out some fun quotes. Oh, sorry, and also, actually, I wouldn't call this a fun quote. This is I put these in the wrong spot. Um, the information about, I guess, Zeus's kids were ones that I found interesting, not only just to have them copied out, but it was interesting because I didn't realize that Zeus was the only god who ever created other gods.
Yeah,
Like,
other than like his father, I guess, and
Yeah. And I mean, of the
like
12.
of the 12. Yeah, now that I think about it, everyone else like has demigods. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I didn't think of it either. I was
Except
like,
maybe
oh.
Apollo has Asclepius, but Asclepius is like a demigod, not an
Mm-hmm.
Olympic.
Yeah, it is really cool. I probably should have the book club notes and other things so I can actually watch the stream. I just realized. All right, there it goes. Sorry, I was just refreshing the stream just so I can check it. So yeah, I was really surprised by that as well. It's funny because I didn't think of it. I'm trying to find, because it was way down. But I'll just leave this here. I'm scrolling down the book on the stream. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting, and I in the quote that they say it in, I was really sad because they said like Zeus is the only god who has great and powerful gods as children. Apollo and Artemis by Leto, Hermes by Maya, Persephone by Demeter, Dionysus by Semele, or Persephone, and Athena by Metis. And then they were like, the ill-favored Ares is the child and of his legitimate spouse Hera. I feel like that was mean to Ares.
Yeah,
I was like, you just said the names of the kids and the moms with the other ones. Why'd you have to pick on Ares?
yeah.
I was like,
It's
man.
both Ares and Hephaestus. Although Hephaestus, Hera threw off the mountain at first when she saw
Oh,
him.
you're right. They didn't list Hephaestus. It's gonna be like Ares and Hephaestus. I'm gonna say like probably Hephaestus. I don't know. Hera threw Hephaestus off Mount Olympus. So is he ill favored? But at the same time, he's like the one who made all the stuff for like armor stuff for the gods. So I feel like he would be favored.
Right.
And Hephaestus. And then it listed like all the children born to mortal women were generally mortal except for like two. And I didn't realize there were so many. But I'm not surprised either. I love the quote. Oh, sorry, that was the quote that I thought was funny. The host of children sired by Zeus is astonishing both in quantity and quality. I love that. That was like, that genuinely like made my day when I read that. I thought it was so funny. It was like, it sounds like a kind of very sneaky compliment, but like not really a compliment that like my grandmother would say. So that was pretty much all of the educational stuff. I just had a couple of other quotes that I wanted to read because I thought they were fun for Zeus. Did you have
Yeah.
anything in regards to Zeus that you want to mention or that you want to talk about for Zeus's section?
Yeah, there's a few things. So one of the which is I wanted to talk a little bit about the overthrow, and how there was always like the fear that Zeus would be overthrown, and there was like Typhus. There's some cool
Yes.
mythology about people like trying to overthrow Zeus. That didn't happen, obviously.
Oh, something died.
No, I got tapped by a 4-year-old. I gotta go get apple juice for
Oh,
her.
no worries. The PDF just fucking died.
Oh no. Well, I'll say my other two things real quick. Is interesting story of him abducting Ganymede. I mean, it's cool that Zeus is a pansexual god, as if you will, or at least bisexual. Um, and whatchamacallit, that's a cool story, especially for queer folks out there.
Woot. I'm writing these down. Sorry.
And what else? I think that's it for now. I will be right back in 2 seconds.
Yeah, no worries. And in that time,
Got
I'll give my little 2 cents on these. Yeah, the overthrow was something that, of course, Zeus overthrew his father Kronos, and he, like many other kings, like or rulers, frankly, through history, a lot of them have always been worried about being overthrown. Hey, the witchcrafts, sup, welcome. So that was, it's something I think not only that is one of, I don't know, but it was one of the things that Zeus was afraid of. It seems, I've never heard of anything else that Zeus was like really afraid of, which just goes to show his strength. I mean, he was definitely didn't want to, get in trouble with Hera, but he doesn't seem like he's afraid of it, because otherwise, he would stop doing things that, like, really piss her off, both as a wife and as a goddess. So, but yeah, it was really interesting to me that was one of the things that I always found that Zeus was always really afraid of. And I thought it was very interesting that it was connected to, of course, a genuine fear of many of kings. It was one of those things that I love about Hellenism, about the gods, is that despite the fact that they're gods, they have very human traits, or rather, if you choose to see it this way, us humans have traits that are like the gods, but just, smaller, because we're smaller. And I feel like that was one thing that, as king of the gods, it was one of the things that humanized Zeus. That he had this fear that so many other rulers have. It made him relatable to rulers. In addition, the story about the abduction, I thought that was a really cool mention, and I actually wanted to go and research that further because I hadn't heard that story before. And I mean, yeah, that was my 2 cents on that. But I love that. That's right. I don't want to mention this. One of the things that really helped me, because a lot of people have problems with Zeus, for the fact that he has so many children that are not within his, primary relationship. And one of the things that made me, more realistic, exactly. Another way that someone has said that I've heard the phrasing, which I think is also really good, is that the gods are, they're more powerful than us, they're stronger than us, they live longer than us. So it only makes sense that their feelings would be more amplified as well. Both and by proxy, both their good and their, bad or better and worse states, better and worse moods. So I always thought that was really cool. And what I was saying before about Zeus is that I heard this once, and it really changed my perspective on Zeus. Zeus is the king of the gods. He is the father of the gods. Very literally. And he had to be, because very much like kings passing on their throne to their heirs, Zeus had to make heirs. Like, he had to have them. That was part of his job. That was part of his duties as a king. And so when someone told me that, I was like, because, I mean, Hera gets pretty pissed. She's not thrilled about this. But she hasn't really, in a way, bitch slapped him a lot, if you will, for it. Or left him. And so I always wondered about that. Like, why, as the goddess of marriage, why would she not, as the protector of women, why would she not, be like, hey, ladies, my husband, it might be the duck or the bull or whatever next door, or, I think one of his stories, like, he wasn't even like an animal or a human. I think he was like water or something like that. I can't remember. But like, why wasn't she out there stopping this and stopping Zeus? She is extremely powerful, and we learn a little bit more about that. We talk a little more about that in the next section. And I was like, it kind of makes sense, like, that she's begrudgingly tolerating this because it's one of his duties as a king. And that really, does not make up for the egregious behavior. But, you know, exactly. Our modern perception of monogamy is very different from historical viewpoints. And I don't know Witchcrafts, if you've been on here before, I'm actually polyamorous. And we actually have several polyamorous people on our Discord server. So this, when you look at it from a perspective that isn't monogamous, which monogamy didn't come into society as a standard practice until much later. And before that was very much limited to certain classes of people as well, both realistically through society. Oh, welcome. Haha, another poly person. I'm not surprised. We tend to attract each other. So, but like that's a whole different historical like conversation. Anyway, that I'm probably not the worst, but also not the best person to talk about, as I am not as historically. I don't really enjoy history a lot of the time. I think a lot of it is just how it's presented. It's portrayed very dry. So, like, not that it's not my fault, but also we could do a better job with this, especially like Greek religion. Like, why is it not? Why? There's so much video and media about this, and we like completely ignore like the in-depth cultural aspect. Anyway, that's a cross I'm willing to die on later. Or I thunderbolt, I guess I'm willing to die on. I don't know. There's got to be something for that. Oh, you're back. Hey. So I always thought it was really cool that, like, once I heard that, my perception of Zeus really changed. So how much were you here for, Menelaus?
Quite a bit.
Oh, you just let me rant, huh?
Yeah, no, I was listening in. As you were saying about how like the gods and like not. I was pretty much nodding along in agreement to your rant, so that's good.
Yeah, I only recently, I'd say in the past couple of years, heard that, and that really, I mean, it rocked my world in my practice. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I personally think like that the gods exist outside of the same moral framework as
Oh, I agree.
humanity.
Yes, I
That's why
agree.
Hera is Zeus' sister, and like
That,
obviously like you know
yeah, we talk about that in the next section too.
and like it's to say that they're all related in the sense that the gods are all related, but we're all related to the gods in a way because we came from the gods.
There's
Um,
also, my boyfriend says, if you think of it from a less spiritual perspective, we all came and we all came from the same matter, which blows my fucking mind, by the way. Like, I literally
yeah.
had an epiphany on that like 2 weeks ago, where we were watching like a thing, and I was like, oh my god, wait, I'm made of stars and shit, or the same stuff. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I wasn't even high. Um, and that just blew my mind. So, like, yeah, we are literally all connected. It's crazy. Just blows my mind. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about in regards to Zeus?
I think I covered everything.
Yes. Oh, we are cooking with gas. Nice. I'm gonna take a drink and we're gonna move on here. Oh, wait a minute. I promised those 1 minute breaks. Here, everyone go get a drink. I have a on YouTube. I don't think you guys are gonna see this. We have a thing. We're gonna run a 1 minute ad. This helps the stream a lot. On YouTube, how you can help the stream is just hit that like button. And we'll be right back in about 60 seconds. Alrighty. We should be good again. So we're... Oops, I didn't scroll down. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Look at all this mythos. Alright, Hera. I love Hera. I was about to say she might be my fave, but then I thought maybe don't say that, but then I thought it was funny, so I said it. You know, just piss that woman off, or that's something we don't want to do, so might as well say it out loud. So I love that it got right into it, like about her cult having two major cities, which I did not know, which is Argos and Mycenae. I don't know. Is it Mycenae? It is Mycenae. Okay. Well, the E is what makes it confusing. I like the detail. We've talked about this like 100 times. I know you very much appreciate it, Menelaus, is that the depth they go into both for the rituals and talking about the different structures and temples. Chef's kiss. But I didn't know that the earliest and some of the most important temples were dedicated to her. That was a new thing. Yeah, so they were on Samos and Parachora. Is that how? I don't. Is that right?
Samos and I see Tyrians. I don't see
her. It says it's after the 8 annotation mark. It says 2 Hera temples stood in
Parachora. Barracuda, probably.
Yeah, I guess those are... Oh, no, those are her epithets, which I don't know. And I will make an active effort into learning the epithets of the gods later. So there was that, and I love the fact that it's like there's 100 foot... I didn't understand about the temple in Samos. It says that the first to be built on the sacred 100-foot measure was probably constructed next to a great altar about 800. They mean 800 feet? And
about 800, probably 800 BC.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to change my notes on there. That's a good note. That's probably more correct. And that answers my question, because I was like, how does an 800-foot thing get built on a 100-foot thing? And I was like, wait. The one thing that I wanted to talk about with Hera was the dichotomy of Hera. That is... I'm just going to copy a section and find so I can find it. So it is on page 187 starting at the very bottom, like the second sentence of the paragraph that starts in comparison. So this section, it says, in comparison with the high esteem of her cult, Hera seems to suffer something of a loss of status in Homer and to become almost a comic figure. Not that sentence, but I'm just reading the paragraph. As wedded wife of Zeus, she is more a model of jealousy and marital strife than a connubial affection, whatever. The background to this is that Hera does not I'm reading terribly today. Does not willingly submit to even the strongest of the gods, but remains a partner in her own right. The fact that she is Zeus's natural sister, the eldest daughter of Kronos, violates both the incest taboo, but at the same time underlines her unique equality of birth. You sleep in the arm. That was the main bit that I wanted to highlight. I thought that was a very important part, because she is often seen as like just the jealous wife, but she's literally Zeus's equal.
Right.
Yeah, and that relates to, of course, what I was saying before in regards to Zeus, that like she like tolerates his shit pretty well. And I think one of those reasons is that she knows where she stands. She doesn't necessarily need that validation or anything like that. She's like, I'm good, and you're just tomfuckery is ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
I can almost see her like rolling her eyes. And I love the fact that it's noted like this, kind of in subtle ways, and that, well, subtle ways being like that Zeus's name is sometimes said as the loud thundering husband of Hera. And while Zeus is like, I'm gonna go pop off with all these women, Hera sits alone on the throne and just holds her scepter like in her own power. I think Beyonce would approve. But yeah, and that kind of also like her power is not something that is like yelled around or talked about so much. Meanwhile, Zeus is like shouting from the rooftops, or people are shouting about Zeus from the rooftops. And I kind of love that dichotomy of the stereotypical masculine and feminine, which of course now is becoming we're a little bit more evolved. But I love that dichotomy is played there as like, yeah, she's very feminine. She doesn't need to yell from the rooftops. She's good in herself.
It's very much, you could think of it like the court cards in
yes.
tarot, where Zeus is the king and she is the queen, and it's 100% how the king and the queen differ, even though they're very similar cards in theory.
And that's a really good also tie-in to things like various forms, of course, this specifically in tarot, divination, and how how they're portrayed. And amazingly, as we've noted in this book, that through various places in the world as they're portrayed, and as we talked about Zeus's many names, Dionysus we mention a lot, the aspects of what make the gods unique is continuously repeated in any form that I've seen them in. And it's amazing when it crosses things like divination as well. Yeah. There's my TED Talk for today. Okay, did you have any other notes about Hera?
I was gonna say that in a way you could think of one thing, which is like the way that she probably appears in Homer when they said like, oh, it's the model of jealousy and marital strife.
Mm-hmm.
How much of that could be based on, if you think about it, sexism that existed at the time?
Yes.
Essentially limiting like what her power is, because it could have been more of a punchline of how that wife is.
Yes, and that's it brings up back a point that we've mentioned before, is that we have to look at the lens of the people writing as well. These are mortal men.
Yeah.
And women were not given a voice in literature until many, 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 many years later.
Yeah. And one other thing I want to mention is that it looks like she was unsired with Hephaestus. So I was wrong earlier. Well, I still write about how her throwing him off Mount Olympus, but I thought he was born of Zeus and Hera, but it looks like it was just Hera.
Well, that was mean, girl. I could see her being pissed with like Zeus and stuff for that, but like, man, that's cold. Which is ironic because his power is fire, or his thing is fire. I'll change that in the notes later. I also thought, I knew he was Hera, but I thought it was Zeus and Hera.
Yeah.
We've had so many gods that like birth a child or a god just from themselves, like asexually, basically, and yet I still forget, and I'm like, oh yeah, they do that. Which also goes to like smack in the face of regular sexuality and what we consider to be normal this day and age. I just realized I wasn't watching the chat, so I'm so sorry. So the Witchcraft says, my favorite revelation was about how we're all still the same energy, still exploding. I know we are still exploding. You know what I also didn't do? I didn't put the timer on.
The line that I love is where the universe experiencing itself.
Yes. Okay, so all of these things, I was not a sciencey person, and my boyfriend very much is. Like, he just puts the stuff on in the background, and I'm like, how it just makes my brain hurt. How are you listening to this? And I continuously have my brain just blown by all that stuff. There's a Munchkin. Hi, Munchkin.
Charge a tablet.
Aww. So
Like, tell her not to.
Don't worry, my little brother's a tech addict too. I think at this day and age, there's just so much tech. We're just gonna have to figure it out. One of the things I wanted to note was also apparently Hera's has a festival in every leap year. It's literally every 4 years in Olympia. It's a wedding-like festival with joyous feasts, and it goes into way more detail than that. But I would like to vote that this be a thing. I'm happy to host. I've actually never had wedding cake, despite the fact that I'm married. I did not have a wedding like that, so it didn't happen. I would like us to all eat wedding cake every 4 years, and just in honor of Hera. Can we make this a thing?
I'm down.
Right? It's funny because I say things like this, and I know people think I'm like joking, and I'm like, no, I'm 80% serious, 20% joking, and everyone thinks I'm 80% joking, 20% serious. So anyway, there was another thing that I thought was really interesting, was the last one about Hera, was that it was actually, I think, towards the end too, that she's also the goddess, like virginity belongs to Hera as well. And I thought that was really interesting because I've never heard it that way. I've always heard virgins are like Artemis's territory, but it makes so much sense.
Yes, it does.
You just leave me hanging here, aren't you, dude?
I said yes. It does. It totally makes sense.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Okay. Anything else you want to note before we go into Poseidon?
Talk about the giraffe wedding feast.
There was a lot
I think
of the
this
myths.
is good. I think this is good. I think this is interesting.
Yeah, I didn't want to spend too much time going into the individual myths because that is a lot of these, and I was like, we've all heard a lot of these before.
Yeah.
So yeah, Poseidon. Wait, how what witchcraft? The comments are gonna come after, so you have to reference it for me. All right. So Poseidon, I didn't have a lot with him, unfortunately. Like, a lot of this was mentioning of like the stories and his like gripe with, was it Odysseus?
Yeah.
We all know. We have heard that. I mean, I'm so sorry I'm about to say this. Just, any Percy Jackson fan. But okay, so I don't understand what it was talking about when I say the clearly composite name Poseidon. And then it mentioned Mycenium, Poseidon, and Dorian potato. Among various. Is it saying, because I didn't know this, that the name Poseidon is a combined of these various names? Is that what you got from this?
Yeah, I think it's basically saying that this is where the name came from.
I did like that. Okay, that makes sense. With the linguistic decipherment. Because they have been started each of the sections, at least in the beginning area, about the etymology.
Etymology.
I swear I know smart words, guys. Oh, so witchcraft is saying about hair and virginity. So yeah, actually, it's one of the last things. I have it in the notes here. As a prerequisite to contracted marriage, virginity in turn belongs to Hera. And I literally put one of those like faces using O's because I was like, what? And because I like making funny notes. So there's also, I want to find the part where it says this. It's the second paragraph, and it says, you know what I forgot to do actually? I'll let you talk about this if you have any thoughts on it, and then I'll go turn my chicken on. There are also other cases where Poseidon is the tribal ancestor and the origin of unifying power. What? Like, have you heard this before, Menelaus?
No, I hadn't heard that.
Okay, so, okay, good. We're both like, what? The note that I wanted to have on this is the soup of life, which goes back to, again, one of those sciencey things that my boyfriend told me about, which was, of course, that basically in the beginning, sorry, my cats are being weird, that in the beginning that there was, like, pools of, like, plasma and kind of the little bit of, like, water-ish things that there was, and in those puddles, if you will, that's where the first bacteria was created, or came into existence, if you will, whichever way you want to rock that boat. And so a lot of people refer to it as the soup of life, and I was like, so Poseidon? Question
Poseidon
mark?
played a role.
Sorry?
Said Poseidon played a role in that.
I'm like, we could say that, especially with this note of the origin of unifying power. And that was what I was like, that whole like thing that we're all connected, and I was like, I don't know, it just struck that like thought with me, and I was,
yeah.
And I'm always looking at and contrasting science and spirituality and different types of like pantheons and belief system, and we all know that I'm like jiving on stoicism right now, so that's not, it's not a secret. One little munchkin.
Hold on one second.
No worries. I was gonna ask actually if you need to take care of that. In fact, what we'll do is we'll take another 1-minute break, and I'll go turn on my chicken. We'll be right back, folks. It looks like Menelaus may not be back yet, which is
I am back.
Oh, you are back. Huzzah.
I literally just got back.
Oh, okay, good. Take a breath for a second while I plug some stuff. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to put in here was the link. If you do not have this book and you would like to get it, we are using affiliate links. That was not the affiliate link that I just put into the chat. I must have copied something else. Hold on. It's unfortunately an Amazon affiliate link, so sorry. But supporting Amazon. But this is a great way if you want to get this book, and you can also want to support Helena Carroll using that link. It literally gives us like 2 cents, but every little bit helps, and we appreciate you guys. Now, if you don't want to buy the book and you still want to support the channel, Please go ahead and like us and follow us on Twitch, like and subscribe on YouTube, or even just go ahead and like leave some comments. Chatting in the chat, live chat, and posting comments on YouTube absolutely helps our profile to be able to be pushed more to people who have similar interests, so other pagans and other people who have interests in the Greek pantheon can find us. We are all looking for all of our friends and children of the gods. Let me see what else. Also, the Discord. And I'm just going to put in our Discord link here. And you can also find links to all of our social medias in our profile. And with that said, that's all I got for that. So, Poseidon, soup of life. That was where we're... Did you have any thoughts on that, Menelaus? Or is there something that you want to talk about that was mentioned in the Poseidon section?
I was most interested in like how they're comparing him to the Mesopotamian gods, and then I find it interesting when they talk about him as married to the earth. Like there's a lot that there's the Poseidon contoured as Demeter, and I think that's really interesting.
Can you tell me what pages the Mesopotamian god is on?
My pages are different. It's like right after 43.
I see the citation 43. Okay. Oh, found it. Even as a sea god, Poseidon reveals himself as the sea opens up. Well, actually, I did specifically stop on this bit because I really thought that was cool. That just the imagery, again, there's definitely a reverence in this writing, and I genuinely appreciate it. So whether when the sea monsters gambol beneath him or when the storm-whipped waves tower upwards, Poseidon therefore appears as a lord of the deep. Ooh, I like that title. I've never heard that before. Oh, I forgot about this. Why do I see a Zeus pit? I mean, there we go, Mesopotamia. Especially as Lord of the Waters of the Deep, comparable to the Sumerian Lord of Below, Enki. Oh my god, I know about this actually. I'll explain how later. Who, with the sky god Anu and the storm god Enlil, forms the great Mesopotamian trio of gods. That is really cool, and I've actually heard of the Sumerian gods before, from a video game of all things. I can't remember the name of it, but that is really cool. And I know that there's a lot of crossover. Did you hear about this before, or was this like new to you?
Relatively new to me, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I was like familiar with crossover, but not like to this extent.
Yeah, and I have to say, I really always love that. Like, it just, I don't know, it makes me feel like we're really all connected, Where was the Mesopotamia one? Just so I can copy it into the notes. Or if you know where it is.
Oh, that's like the last sentence of the paragraph that goes, following the interpretation of Poseidon as husband of earth.
Yeah, he just... Oops, searching in the wrong document. Oops. Okay, so it's the last sentence in that paragraph?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, that one's the... I'm dumb. I literally read it. My brain didn't register it. I am having a bit of a spazzy day, I have to say. But, that's every other day with me. I love or rather, not that I love it, but I thought it was really interesting. And I won't remember what page it's on actually right now. I should have written that down. But just the fact that there was this in the beginning, like they were trying to split up the sea, the sky, and the earth, which relates back to the husband of earth. Let me just copy that into the notes too. That Hades got the underworld, Poseidon got the sea, and Zeus got the sky. And so it was saying that Poseidon always bows to Zeus, being that he is the elder brother and literally, as well as figuratively, above the sea. So I thought that was really cool. And then, of course, Poseidon is the god of fishermen, horses, bulls is always interesting to me, as well as earthquakes, which is one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Just because people don't think about it like that. And I'm gonna say that I embarrassingly. So what I did in college, I know this seems really weird, but what I did in college, and I highly approve of this method of picking classes. I would go look up my professors and deliberately try to pick attractive professors so that I could pay attention more in class. One of which was, I know, I'm sorry. I mean, it worked though. It did. But so one of those classes was geology that I took twice because the professor was hot. So I actually learned a lot about tectonic plates and, living in.
So
I know.
I'm really happy you said at least the tectonic plate things. That was literally my thought, was just like how like, oh, plates shift and like there's plates under the ocean, and like that totally makes sense that Poseidon would control both.
Yeah, and as someone who lives in California, I very much understand the fault lines. And what's interesting is that if you know about tectonic plates, now I'm gonna go Google it so that we can see it. So literally, it is one bit of mass. There's different kinds of tectonic plates, and one of them, which is actually happening in California or on the edge of California, is actually, this is a better one here. So there'll be like the continental, the land, and there'll be the tectonic plate that's like the water or under the ocean, or two plates under the ocean where they come to meet. And one of the ways that happens is one literally goes under the other one, and it causes massive waves and things like that. What happened is usually it, instead of steadily going, which it normally does, it suddenly like jolts, and that's what causes a lot of things like tsunamis and shit. So it was really interesting to me thinking about that, because it's literally, some of the plates are going into the sea. So it's being pulled more in the sea, into the earth. I just thought it was really cool, because it felt like when I was thinking about that, I was like, that's almost like Poseidon going, gimme! And again, I love how science and the spirituality just kind of connect or like that. I don't know, maybe I just like tectonic plates too much.
I'm with you on that, so it's fine.
Great. I'm glad it makes sense at least. I love that they were noting also some of the things that were done in order to honor Poseidon, and also specifically one of the things, not just of course doing something near the water is like duh, but what I also loved was they were talking about the chariot races that were done, being as he is also the god of horses, which I never really got to be like, I got the whole like seahorse thing, but I didn't get like horses. Do you know anything about that, Menelaus?
I know that he's like considered the god of horses, and there's like, I don't know what the reasoning behind it is. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, we just learned our homework. Because that is, and they didn't really talk about that either, and I was actually surprised, because I was confused. Like, okay, you normally go so in depth, dude. What's up? But I did like that they clarified that Poseidon has very little to do with plants growing from the earth, as well as the dead, and it was really interesting because we do water plants, but that is like wholeheartedly Demeter. Like, he's like, I'm not involved in this, like, at all.
Yeah,
I'm just sending you the water, honey, just do what you will. But I did love the chariot races that were mentioned, and we just had the Minecraft gladiator fights, and I was like, aw shit, we should do chariot races. if that's possible. I don't know if it is. But I was like, yes, we should do this. Are you on the server?
Minecraft server? Yeah. I pop in and out. Oh, I don't play as much Minecraft, but I do once in a while.
Nice. I wasn't sure, actually. I was like, and then I love that they were saying, like, sinking things in the ocean could be an offering. So there's probably a bunch of ships somewhere under the ocean that didn't actually sink because, you know, they sunk while like something bad happened, but they were just like, yeet, here you go, Poseidon. So those were all of the things that I was like, here's some weird, interesting bits. Was there anything else besides what I said, or do you have comments on what things I said, or other things that were really interesting to you in regards to the Poseidon section?
No, nothing else.
And they did talk a lot about the mythology as well. So, look, we actually finished on time. So the next sections we have Athena. Okay, that starts at 198. Of course, she's gonna have like a super long one. Apollo, also a super long, and Artemis. That goes from 198 to 216-ish. So that's like 20 pages. Do you think we should do more? Do you think we should go into Aphrodite?
Good.
Okay. Aphrodite. Okay. So we're going 2.4, which is Artemis. I'm just saying I'm interested in the order that this is in. Artemis through 2.7. Awesome. So we'll be doing next time. We'll be doing sections 2.4 through 2.7. And yeah, we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.
So I'm gonna mute you, Menelaus, and then I'm gonna raid. We're gonna do a raid on the stream. So, and I'll be right back. Because raiding is polite. Let's raid a channel. Who's up? Oh, it's Critter Visions. Critter Visions is cool. It's a nice end to the day. Enjoy watching some cute animals on camera. It might be night camera. Let's see. So hold up in 6 seconds, not 30 seconds. And 3, 2, 1. Bye.